Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we take your fascinating questions and sources and really try to unlock the key insights.
Yeah.
Today, we're diving into a specific listener query, putting on our, detective hats, you could say. It's about a possible connection between Jorge J. Gonzalez and the huge Genographic Project. Is it real? A mix-up? We want to follow this thread and, shed some light on the whole world of human genetic mapping.
Yeah, it's interesting how sometimes just one name, one question can open up these massive topics. We end up looking at one of the biggest scientific projects ever, really. And it also highlights how crucial precision is, right? Especially now with so much information out there.
Exactly.
So we'll clarify the specific link or maybe the lack of one and explore genomics a bit more.
Okay, great. So let's start with the basics. What exactly was the Genographic Project? Why was it such a big deal?
Right. So it launched back in 2005. It was this really groundbreaking global thing in genetic anthropology. The main objective, the core idea, was mapping human migration. How humans spread out of Africa. And they did this by looking at DNA, lots of it, from over 100,000 indigenous people globally.
Wow.
And also tens of thousands of samples from the general public. The goal was to build this huge database, the biggest ever for this kind of anthropological genetics.
Just an incredible scale. How did they even gather all that? I mean, practically speaking.
Well, it was sort of a two-pronged approach. They had teams doing field work, working directly with indigenous groups all over the world.
Right.
And then they also had those public kits, the cheek swabs.
Ah, yeah, I remember those. So anyone could participate.
Pretty much, you could send in your DNA anonymously. And the researchers, they focus specifically on certain types of DNA, Y chromosome DNA, which tracks the paternal line pretty clearly because it doesn't recombine much, and mitochondrial DNA, or mtDNA, which you get from your mother, so it traces the maternal line way back.
Got it. So specific tools for tracing ancestry, did they find anything really, groundbreaking?
Oh, definitely. The project yielded some really significant findings. For example, their data suggested that the ancestors of modern Khoisan peoples in southern Africa split off from other human groups really early.
How early?
Like maybe between 150,000 and 90,000 years ago. It points to some very, very old maternal lineages there.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And they also uncovered details about, say, Sino-Tibetan migration routes, found connections within groups like the Maronites in Lebanon. It was pretty wide-ranging. The project finished up in 2019.
Okay, so bringing you back to our nurse question.
Yeah.
This specific name, Jorge J. Gonzalez, given all this work, who was actually leading the project, according to the records?
Right. So the project director initially, from 2005 to 2015, was Spencer Wells.
Oh, right.
And then after him, Miguel Villar took over until it ended in 2019. And crucially, if you look through all the documented leadership, the key scientific contributors, the people really running the show, well, the name Jorge J. Gonzalez just doesn't appear anywhere in that official list.
But, okay, wait. Jorge Gonzalez isn't exactly an uncommon name, is it? We did find several people with similar names doing important work.
That's true. And this really gets to the heart of the matter, doesn't it? The commonality of names versus the very specific nature of, big science projects.
Yeah, it feels like looking for a needle in a haystack sometimes.
Exactly. So, yes, there are accomplished people named Jorge Gonzalez. There's a Professor Jorge Gonzalez in climate science.
Okay, different field.
Totally different. There's a Jorge Gonzalez in creative writing. Even a historian, Jorge Felipe Gonzalez. All doing valuable work, but it's not this project.
But you mentioned some are in genomics, right? Couldn't that be the connection?
Well, genomics itself is a huge field. It's not just one thing.
Right.
So, for instance, there's a Jorge Gonzalez Lopez involved in genomics research, but his papers, they're from after the Genographic Project ended.
Oh, okay.
And his work focuses on things like genetic diversity in marine life, or peppers, I think, not human migration.
So, related field, but different focus and timing.
Precisely. And there's another researcher listed as Gonzalez JM who co-authored work on the GenCode project. But GenCode is about genome annotation. That means identifying genes and what they do within the genome sequence.
Which is different from?
Different from the Genographic Project's goal, which was tracing population history and migration using specific genetic markers. Different subdisciplines, different people.
Okay, I think I'm getting the picture. We've looked at the project, the leadership, the common name issue, the different fields within genomics. So how do we sum this up for our listener? What's the final word on Jorge J. Gonzalez and the Genographic Project?
Well, based on all the official documentation and the sources we have, there's just no evidence linking that specific name, Jorge J. Gonzalez, to a key role, like a principal investigator or major researcher in the Genographic Project.
Okay.
The project's team is well documented. And while other Jorge Gonzalez's exist, even in related fields, their work is separate. The connection isn't there in the records.
So it really boils down to precision, doesn't it? Making sure you have the right person linked to the right work.
Absolutely. It's critical in science, obviously, but really everywhere. Precise identification, accurate attribution. It just underlines that even within a big field like genomics, things are incredibly specialized. Knowing who did what is key for clarity and, frankly, for scientific integrity.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. It's a good reminder about checking sources carefully and understanding the details. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Hopefully you feel a bit clearer now, not just on the Genographic Project itself, but also on how scientific identity works and why getting the details right matters so much. What stands out most to you from exploring this question? Keep those great questions coming our way.